I'd like to share with you, we always say that we are a small part of the big picture. So earlier, Director Tagata shared with us the industry. The industry is of course composed of many different elements, many different parts of our ecosystem. And I just want to reiterate that the Philippine Textile Research Institute is a research and development institute under the DOST. What does that mean? Often people come to us asking us, I would really like to buy some of that, but it's not something that we can do. We're not manufacturers. But you know what, guys? We feel that that should not be stopping us. And so the RTB is right out there. We're looking at how we can bring technology more relatable to you guys. Because if you don't see that we're wearing or using it, or you feel it next to your skin, then you cannot feel that that is the result or the fruit of technology. So many of the things that we're wearing today is essentially from that. So allow me to share with you what we see from our side of the fence is our contribution to the big picture. Before we even had the industry roadmap, we in fact had been working on this SNT agenda, and I have to thank our friends from the DOST-PTRI. I have Engineer Nina here with us. They helped us to convene what was then the the science and technology roadmap for our sector. So this is then what I should be sharing with you is both it's a perspective because we're looking at retro and we're looking at perspective and we're looking at the future or the perspectives. What is it that we are hoping to see between now and today? What has it been that we have been able to accomplish based on that 2016 to 2020 roadmap that we had done in 2015? So first is, again, this is our ambition natin 2040, just so that we are anchored, because we have the big picture and then we have to, like a funnel, we go from the very big to the smaller to the smaller. So this is where we are coming from. We are really hoping to be a contributor to this national goal or this collective goal for the Philippines. Our own vision at the Philippine Textile Research Institute is to support. Go back. The vision is really to be the center of excellence, or as the center of excellence on textile science and technology. I think maybe this program. So it's really to be the center of excellence for the textile developments related to our own towards global competitiveness and sustainability. The mission is to support this sector and achieve the global competitiveness with unwavering commitment to work excellence and integrity through the judicious use of natural resources, development and transfer of innovative technologies, enhancement of human resource capabilities, and the promotion of quality assurance and quality control. So many of you are perhaps not aware, but the Philippine Textile Research Institute has it was mentioned earlier in the AVP, we have an ISO certified laboratory that handles textile performance tests for both consumer goods as well as the geotextile sector. We are the only laboratory that can handle geotextile testing in this part of the world. So in 2015, as I had mentioned, we did a 2016 to 2020 SNT roadmap for textiles. The vision for the industry at the time was that we would be a global player with a Filipino branding, which is culture sensitive, robust, sustainable, profitable, and based on Filipino knowledge using locally available raw materials. It supplies to the growing domestic and international market demands through its highly skilled, competent, and talented human resources. I think we had particular attention also to our creative side of the industry. As we mentioned earlier, we find that the textiles is really that intersection or that cross point, that nexus where you really put in the creative aspects. And we all know that we have a wealth of traditional textile weavers in our countrysides, and they were the ones that we have in mind when we also put this together. So we were looking at our own value system, which at the time was looking at professionalism, technical competence, reliability, integrity, and which we really are now saying is really very pro-active. It's pro-Filipino, people and planet. We are tech-savvy, technologically sound, responsive, and inclusive. So this stakeholders conference was really organized organized through the help of, it was really spearheaded by PTRI, the Innovation Council, which is the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technologies. We had with us the natural, non-timber forest products. We had, of course, the DTI, and we had, I believe it's the UP College of Home Economics, and now it's the College of Textiles and Interior Design. So this was the convening group, but the membership for the ones who went were really very varied. We had academic representation as well as the social entrepreneurs and industry were also represented in that group. I see Chuck, hello Chuck, so I see Chuck here. He was also, I believe he had also participated in some of this alongside the GBAP, the Garment Business Association of the Philippines, and perhaps, if I remember correctly, we also had some people from the creative side. So this was the output. I know it is hard on the eyes, it's very hard to read, so let me just walk you through what we had done. Based on that, we made it more concise. We were really focusing on 4 elements, or rather 5 elements. Technical textiles, smart textiles, sustainable innovations, and fashionable textiles, with the goal of making use of advanced textile processing techniques and capitalizing on the robust natural resources of our country. The 5th element was the Textile Product Development Center. This was in 2016. Today, we are looking at these very similar things, and they are really focused on bio-based materials, technologies, eco-friendly textile processing. We're looking at new textile fiber for innovative textile products, the smart textiles and functionalization of textile materials, product development and life cycle management, smart dyes and colorants. And all of this is really largely based on a framework because we find that it is going to be easier if you can see the big picture. So for us, the big picture is we're looking at the combination of your supply as well as your value chain. And they have to meet at many, many points in this equation. So our goal is really, when you start with your agricultural byproducts, you bring it now into a fiber, a yarn, a fabric, and your apparel, and you bring this to the retail sector. There are dynamics that happen in that space. You bring this forward to your consumer. Again, there are things that happen in that area. And then there's post-consumer. The idea being that the very items that we are wearing today may be the very input material that we will need to process the fabrics of the future. And so this is our circularity goal. And so I have said this in the past. We have been working before with a lot of combinations with polyester. We will be working still with polyester, but not in intimate yarns. We're going to be working with polyester only as one element. In other words, we will leave synthetic to synthetic and natural to natural. So you will not find an intimate yarn that will combine a polyester with a banana or a cotton or abaca. We have done it in the past. You will see examples of this, and those are going to be very good control. It can then show us the drape, and then it can tell us if we have the same weight, then we can duplicate and we can replicate. So that will be the essence of using polyester as a control measure. But in essence, we really would propose that we really look at circularity, and it starts with the design of the product. What will be its end of life or end usefulness in its next phase of usefulness. And so from there, we really took a look at the things that we were working on. And those things are really anchored by things, I mean, our R&D, our science and technology interventions, or the way we work with the value chain. And along that, we found that we have been really working on a number of things that will bring us to the final. So I will then walk us through, but really, these are little projects that have been there since 2016 and that we are progressing into bringing to a larger scale. In the system, you have a laboratory, a bench, a semi-pilot, a pilot before you even go to commercial. There is like a flow of a scale at which you bring your technology. You hope to hone it and see if what applies on a very small, very batch size, a laboratory scale will also be the same conditions that can apply and can bring the same characteristics and properties to the next level. So it is a long, tedious study, but which is necessary if you are to actually call it a science and bring forward into a technology. So here, we'll share with you what has happened in the past. In 2016, we have been able to put together 14 handloom weaving innovation centers. These are all scattered all over the country. And the idea was to really not just provide looms, because it's easy to have looms, anybody can have them made. But it's put in the training, it is to put in a different mindset, it is to actually change the way that we see textile or traditional textiles in the way we have been doing it. It is not just something that somebody does. It is really something that provides more than just livelihood. It is, and for this reason, we're working with TESDA to come up with a national certification, NC2, skills certification for handloom weavers, so that that skill is recognized as truly a certifiable skill. We have set up 3 knot dyes, natural dye hubs, and 5 natural dyeing facilities. Again, these are in the AVP earlier. We had shown you the locations of this. And it will tell you that the goal really is to find areas where if you find the convergence, or you can create a convergence where you have the textile, you have the dyers, it's really a very wonderful spot where you should be able to now produce your yarns by which your weavers can produce product that the consumers in that location can use. It's really localized integration. The ecosystem that we believe is going to be a good linchpin for regional industrialization. We have Science and Technology Technical Working Group for Textiles. This is under construction. And so as we break out later, that is the goal. We want to be able to reconvene the Philippine Tropical Fabric Technical Working Group, the committees under that, or the TWG in particular, so that we can hash how we can put teeth into these ideas or the things that we are looking to see happen. The skills training for handloom weavers. The straight line, if it's a full line, it's been accomplished. If it's dotted, it is in process or it's about to happen. The policy recommendation monitoring of the textile sector has to be something to talk about. Because, you know, guys, here's our consideration. When we speak of, Director Pagata, for example, presented to us the numbers that are making up your garment sector, our textile sector. If I ask you the question, do you know how much local textiles we produce in the country? Do you know how much of this is traditional textiles? Do we know how much of inabel or how much of the patajong or the hablon is actually made today? Can anybody sort of provide that information? I don't think it's available. We have asked already some of the sectors, by sector I mean a government agency who's perhaps involved in domestic trade. They don't have the numbers. They don't know. How can they be then given the right qualities or the right support? Maybe they're very underserved. But we won't know that because we don't know how they're contributing. We can say that they represent so much of the gross domestic product. That number does not exist. But you know that we have thousands of handloom weavers, right? Are there handloom weavers in the house? Can we see them, please? Is there anybody here who's from a handloom weaving community? Can you please stand up, please? Oh, India, of course. So thank you very much, Emily. Thank you very much. So this is a conundrum because we are looking to see how we can do this from the ground up. The soil to skin cannot happen unless we really put numbers on this particular sector, which is very much underserved as of the moment. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so in 2016. We did, of course, the information campaign. It is continuing. It goes on, and every year we really spearhead the celebration of the Philippine Tropical Fabric Month. What does that mean? That means that we inform all other government agencies of the value of this particular month, and we request them to come up with their own promotional materials, the tarpaulins, that will indicate to you that this is a PTF month. So this is part of the celebration that we are having today. The development of manpower capability on garment production, it is a dotted line. I also have to mention that while this was done as a roadmap for the SNT agenda, it really is not just our sole role. For example, I mentioned the certification process for NC2. That is in coordination with TESDA. We cannot do that because that's not our purview. So we have been working with TESDA on that, and in this particular section, the manpower capability of garment production is also something that is very much for TESDA to accomplish. Here is the consideration. The response is really very much dependent on the demand. If there is not much demand, then it does not really merit a strong response. So this is what we have been advised. If there does not seem to be any need or request or requirement from industry, then perhaps it is not needed or necessary. So this is an area that will require consideration from us guys here in the audience, but I also just wanted to indicate that while we look at this, we also must take a look at the bigger picture, because the bigger picture is there is that ASEAN development that is happening all around us. I'm not sure if Ms. Marites Concilio Hoxon has already arrived. She's with Conweb, and essentially they will tell you there's what they call the ASEAN Competency Program. And this one says that you could be ideating in Thailand, cutting it in Indonesia, sewing it up in Malaysia or in Thailand, back again, and then finishing it in another place. That requires that our skill level, our competency level must be all the same to qualify for that particular virtual factory setup. But that's another whole other story. The dye source management, this is something very much in our alley. We have in fact been doing the mapping of these sources, and it's fantastic what you can find out, because if they have, let's say, Sibuca or let's say Talisa in one place, perhaps the result of that in another location may not be the same, because it's very much a product of its water and the soil. So it's a very interesting project, and they will be sharing with you at some point when we convene the natural dye plan or program. We will be sharing with you this swatch book that has been derived for the process, or from that process. The rollout of established technologies for smart functionalized textiles is something that is also in process as we speak. The creation of an ecosystem for fiber production is accomplished with the writing in particular, as well as with the ICYT that we have put together. The genomic identification of silk and Philippine natural fibers is very much on board. They will be sharing with you at the Philippine Silk Summit the developments in this department. It's pretty exciting because you realize that while we do not have something that is endemic to us, they are already Philippinized, and we should be renaming them as Philippine silk. Real cocoons. They came from many parts of Asia, from China, Japan, Korea, and but they are now Philippinized after 35 to 40 years. The establishment of the cellulose regeneration facility is again a work in process, because this requires much more in terms of funding support, but we have already done the preliminaries for this particular exercise. Why is this important for us? Many of you are familiar with viscose. Thank you very much, Dr. Cora Claudio. I have to recognize Dr. Claudio. Dr. Cora is with the Management Association of the Philippines, and they're essentially looking at sustainable development through reforestation, particularly for the Laguna Lake area. And Dr. Claudio shared with me that her shawl is made of bamboo. So bamboo is a viscose material. It's very, very soft. You know that this went through that process. So cellulosic regeneration is that. But what we want to do is something more environmentally safe and sound. And in fact, we have already done something now with bamboo, but with cellulosic regeneration, that's a technology that we are also going to be working to do. We have increased the indigenous blended yarn content by at least 40%. You know, guys who have been working with PTF, Philippine Tropical Fabric, can I just have a show of hands? Who are you in this audience? Philippine Tropical Fabric, guys, who are you? Can you please stand up? Chuck, you have to stand up. Who else have been working on Philippine Tropical Fabric? Thank you very much. So not very many in the audience, no, I have been working on this. You know that the law is very simple. It just tells us that they want 5%. 5% of pineapple leaf that you put in with any of the mix that you want. 5% ng abaca, 5% ng banana. You know, 5% doesn't mean much. Doesn't mean anything. So at the end of the day, the 40% is quite an achievement, because I remember at the time, they were asking to bring it down to 3% because nobody could achieve it. And that was back in 2011, 2012. So today we can do up to 40%. So there's a lot of, we can therefore take a lot of pride in being able to say that in fact it can be done, it has been done. We should therefore now be able to make full use of this. The establishment of the integrated fabric prototyping system. So we also have that together. We have developed mechanized handloom equipment, and this is a continuing work in progress. We went to do, now we're in version 4.0. It's called the Handloom Mac 4.0, MACH. Trying tayo magpaka-IR. So it's a Mac 4.0. it will be fantastic if all of us in government have an interest to support handloom weaving communities, can make use of the same designs. Because what does that mean? Your consistency across the board will be easier to ensure. You can say that it's just a loom. Guys, yeah, it's just a loom. But you know what? Really, there are tweaks that we can put together, and it would be great if all the sectors of the government who are in the provision of looms will adopt one particular model or design. We all have to agree that it will work. We all have to agree that it will actually do the job. And then that will help us with the consistency and the quality control. The development of models of training on self-farm management and self-processing. We have Cheryl. Hello. We have Cheryl Lopez in the house. Can you please stand up? She is a very, very strong support for us. She is the one who is heading our technology center in South Oriental. And she has proposed actually models of models that you can do for the how do you say this, more efficient way of raising your silkworms. Not in your standard, you do 1 hectare all in one shot, but do as a segmentation, because it has its consideration. You do not have enough supply, for example, the mulberries are long in coming. There could be a system that you could employ for that purpose. The upgrading of commercial scale knot-ties production hubs, we have done one in Batangas. There's a second one that should be coming along the way. We have the rollout of our established technologies from ICYT. The writing is the first one that has been now done on a regional, with a regional presence. The design and fabrication of a high-capacity mechanical equipment for primary and secondary processing of natural fibers. I'm very pleased to let you know that this is now locally fabricated. When we used to import this from other parts of Asia or of the world, we are now able to do, I think, about 5 or 6 equipment that are already fabricated in the Philippines for the conversion of natural textile fibers. And the development of the knot-ties collar system, 20 of 30 have already been done. So this is again a work in progress. Skills training for yarn production is again work in progress. We had about 10 personnel from our Iloilo Science and Technology University partner that have engaged in this. But there is room for more, because we always say, if you have no technicians, technologists, engineers who are really meant for a particular sector or purpose, then it will be very difficult to say that you can have an industry, because you will have no operators, you will have no innovators. So we do need the human resource complement to be developed for this. The development of capability in digital pattern making, marker, and cutter, and 3D body scanning and visualization system is now on board with the Textile Product Development Center at the PTRI in Bicutan. And in 2020, the development of local technologies for the recycling of textiles. This is our eventual goal as we head to the future after 2020. So this image will now tell you what we are going to be trying to accomplish from now until 2030. And at the bottom, I apologize that it may be difficult to read. We have put together what the DTI had also indicated as part of the roadmap or the aspirations for those periods in time. This is to indicate that the little that we do is actually meant to contribute to the big that is out there. And this is not a small feat. The 2020-2022 milestones is for the Philippines to be among the top 20 garment manufacturers. I do not know what our number is today. They're from Gadan. Would we know what our number is today? But just to give you a sense of this, the total garment and textile industry is put in at $750 billion US dollars. $750 billion US dollars. The total fashion trade, including your small leather goods and the footwear, will bring you into over $1 trillion US dollars. Our exports last year were below 1 billion. So this is not a small statement to make. This is a very big statement to make. And so our way of contributing to this, we hope that we can also come in with a very big response because this is a very big deal, not a small matter. So we hope to further the work that we do with the sericulture. This is the silk, I mentioned earlier, the Philippine Silk Road program through science and technology, and we will be having our Silk Summit later today as well as the whole of tomorrow, or the half of tomorrow. The long stable textile fiber, just for your reference, we are all familiar with the cotton spinning system. We are working with yarns that fit into the cotton spinning machines. But we also have what is called a long staple. This is particularly used for, let's say, wool. They process wool in this particular manner. We are working on those because we would like to see how we can bring in, for example, cellulose, lyocell versus using cotton. And adding into that our abaca, our cotton, our pineapple. It becomes more environmentally sound because the process under which lyocell has been done is a closed loop system of cellulose regeneration. This is just a big picture of what it is that we are looking and where they meet, because all of them have areas where they sort of cross meet. And it's pretty much what you had seen in the earlier slides, except that you're looking at substrate on the one hand, smart textiles on the other, and sustainable textile solutions on the other. And the Textile Product Development Center will be making full use of the output of all of these different activities and projects and programs that we're going to be undertaking. So maraming salamat po. This is just a picture of what is that lies ahead of us. We look forward to having all of you work with us on all of these developments and many more. Thank you very much.